Uh-uh.
I don't know how to get to Facebook Marketplace.
You don't?
No.
Do you don't have a tab for it?
No, thanks. Well, hold on. Go here.
You should have one right here.
What the fuck?
Look at the top.
Why is this on my...
Look. Hold on. What is it?
It's a Laserdisc player.
What do you mean? Why is it on your...
It's suggested for me. Why? I've never even filled in any details on this.
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe it's these other things you look at online and weird things.
It
Somehow
created a listing.
Oh. Oh, that? That's your listing? I never posted that, I don't think.
No, it says you created listings. So, based on the listings my friends created, it's saying I might be interested in this.
Okay. Okay.
There's Marketplace.
Oh, Nick Lakes is out of jail.
Uh-huh.
Nick Lakes has been trying to request me.
Who's out of jail?
Nick Lakes.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that odd?
He is a snitch. He was supposed to go to prison for 2.5 years.